Finally, to your retreat. I'm very excited that you are having this retreat. I missed a chunk of the sermon, but I want to believe, for me, for my own government, we're starting our own retreat on Monday. Monday, Tuesday, we'll be at a retreat. And that's the way to begin a new year, where you're reviewing where are we coming from, redefine, remind yourselves of your purpose, your mission, your vision, and your KPIs, your key performance indicators. And how do you measure? Where are you and where do you want to go? We want to remind ourselves as we start off the new year. And I was quite excited to hear that all the bishops of the Church of Nigeria will be meeting on a few days retreat at the beginning of the year, for everybody to leave from all across Nigeria to gather in one venue. This is serious business, very serious business. And I know you've chosen your theme. You are clear on what you want to discuss. I even had part of it at the sermon. Very revered Bishop Ekwe, hammering on it. I think I had the issue of unity and that, and bonding together, standing for one another, encouraging one another. Because they say if you want to go very far, you go alone. No, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. Thanks for that message. But I also want to add, maybe as you reflect on that, this is a very trying moment for the Christendom generally. In Nigeria, and even more so in the southeast of Nigeria. The primate, you did mention about the pivotal role of this particular, especially the place where we are, the All Saints Cathedral, in the birth of the Anglican Communion, especially in the southeast of Nigeria. But the primate, you mentioned a very important statistics, which is 20 million registered Anglicans. It's the same way that you have 2.6, 2.7 billion people in the world who profess Christianity, which is about 32-33% of humanity. And here in Nigeria, you have, well, depending on the number, people dispute whether you are 100 and something or thereabout in terms of Christians. But an important question that I will leave with you is that as you ponder these 20 million, that's those on the register, are they still there? It might sound a rhetorical question, isn't it? 20 million on the register, how many are there? And in the southeast, this question is even much, much more pertinent. Because in the southeast particularly, the fastest growing religion today is idolatry. It's on the upsurge, massive ascendancy, and those populating it are the Christians, the Emmanuel, Christian, so even some of them answer Christian, but he's carrying his shrine, and so on. All over the bushes and forests, wherever these chaps are, the first thing they do is to have a massive shrine. Now in every community, in Anambra, in Abia, in Imo, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, and so on. Every community now, there is a massive resurgence. And one of the questions that I ask always, I said to somebody, I wish I had the time. I wish I was disposed and maybe somebody should supervise a PhD, those studying theology and all of those on this topic. then the title will be, Why Do They Leave? I don't know if I'm communicating. Why are they leaving? In other words, since this is a moment of retreat, that the leadership of the Church of Nigeria must pose that kind of question. It's a time for introspection. A life unexamined is not worth living. At this point, you must be able to re-examine your purpose. Are we still serving the purpose? Have our ways become in conflict with the purpose? Or do we have a defined purpose, but our means of getting there now in conflict and in contradistinction, that the people themselves see through it and they think this is all a joke and they are living? Somebody says, people are saying the church and so on, religion has become business. The transactions have overwhelmed the transformations. Does the church still engage in evangelization? And so now in my own government, we'll be dealing with KPIs for each MDA, the ministries, departments, and agencies. What are the key performance indicators that the leadership of the church provides for the ministers of the church? In each parish, what are the KPIs? Is it the number of brick and mortar projects that are built? Or is it in terms of how many members who actually are on the register are still with you? How many persons who are non-Christians have been converted over the previous 1 year? Can we have it in the register as part of the KPIs for each parish? How many have left? Because, Your Grace, there is something dangerous that is upon us. The greatest threat that we face, I heard when the prayer was made about the release of our Archbishop, retired Archbishop, who was in captivity for a few weeks. In 2009, my 78-year-old father was kidnapped. After dinner, I went to his house in the village here. Before then, that same year, Tony Mas, the popular Tony Mas, was kidnapped. I think the next year, Poco Bros, and then GUO was kidnapped, I think, from here, from a church. This trend has continued. And if you look at the characteristics of the people doing this, now it's become an organized, lucrative business empire with central command and control. And at the heart of it all is idolatry. At the heart of it all is idolatry. The church itself as an institution, when you now get to the place, we've now gotten to a position where these guys don't care about anybody, whether you are primate, whether you are pope, or whether you are bishop, whether you are... Because there is a clash of religion. They think you are the problem. The church is the problem, is the only institution standing between them and taking over the entire society. And I leave a message with you. When they were coming, they started off with a narrative in the southeast. We are here to liberate you. The Fulanis are in the forests and everywhere about to envelop you. They will go to the checkpoints, kill the police, kill the soldiers, take over their AK-47, and people will tacitly inside be happy because they are the liberators. They are supposed to be the liberators. Now, after they carried the AK-47, how do they feed the next day in the bush? Nobody asked that question. How do they continue to feed month to month, year to year? They have to feed. They have to survive. They have families. Now they come out to grab people because for ransom. And at the heart of it all is that the first thing they have there is their big idols, big shrines. Over the last 2 years or so that we've declared war on this, before I came, 8 local governments were under their total grip. We declared war on them. The number of shrines that we have had to burn down or bring down. And yesterday we had about 10.5 hours meeting. We're bringing out a new Homeland Security law. I want to assure you, the primate and bishops of Church of Nigeria, that the way we want to fight this war, it's not just carrying gun and so on and going to, for me, it's just 40% of the problem. The 60% is that if we don't collectively challenge and tackle the source of the warped ideology, the ideas that fuel this in the first instance, that continues to enable them to have continuous supply of young men going into the bush and wanting to carry arms to go on a kidnapping and so on and so forth, because it is now the most lucrative business in town. Nigeria published data that about 2.4 trillion was paid as ransom. Did you see that? For every 1 naira published, we estimate that at least 5 naira was not reported. So if you multiply that by 5, you'll be getting more than at least more than 10 trillion. Even oil block is not as lucrative. But there is something also fueling it. And this is where the church also comes in. When I ask why do they leave? The lucrative criminality, but also we now have a society where we celebrate something for nothing. Where even in Christianity, we now preach that you can have a crown without a cross. We tell people that you can have wealth without work. That God is a money doubler. Only pay your tithe and then you go and close yourself with blanket. God will quadruple it in 10 times. We're no longer telling people about responsible Christianity. No, it is the hard one. If we tell them no cross, no crown, then you will not be the popular priest. It's when you tell them, you know, a young apprentice, you will become a billionaire by the end of it. You say, yeah, I claim it. How? How? So the message, I'm just saying this because we are coming from various, and in fact, part of where we are going to head to, all these roadside pastors and churches and so on, preaching all of these things and trying to, you know, have people with this warped theology and Christianity and so on. This one and the other one. I mean, it's just the youths. 9 a.m. people are in the beer parlors drinking beer. But they expect to build a skyscraper tomorrow. How? We want to hold people accountable. If you got wealth, people are displaying all manner of obscene wealth. And nobody asks again, what do you do for a living? A society where you no longer ask people, what do you do for a living? It's a society that has no future. Pray it almost every alternate Sunday. The other one is pray against for Nigeria in distress. I said, okay, now you have got the third liturgy. And this applies to all our Christian denominations. We used to have 4 parts of a mass. It's introductory rite, liturgy of the word, liturgy of the Eucharist, and then concluding rites. Those are the 4 parts. I said, you now have the third liturgy, liturgy of fundraising. Okay? Now, and that becomes the main part of most services. The part where we talk about money. And I said, can we be the church that then says, okay, we'll pray against bribery and corruption. Then an officer, a government official, whose total monthly salary is not more than 200,000, comes to the church and makes a donation of 2 million. Or he shows up in church, whoever is presiding announces, now that we have this one has come, it means our problems are over. That was the day they are going to do special fundraising. And he comes and pledges 2 million. I will say, kneel down for special prayers. How is he going to get the 2 million? That's where it starts. And I did make a proposal. I then said, can we then lead by saying, okay, let's make a rule. If you are in public office, we're not going to accept any donation from you until you leave office. And 5 years after you've left office, everybody laughed. More like, how now? It sounds like a joke, but go to think about it. Today, during this season in the southeast, bazaar all over the place. Who are the chairmen of the bazaars? This one has come down. So IK Malaysia. Peter of South. This one. What do they do? Even the ministers of God do not ask. In my part of the world, we have a proverb that he who partakes of the proceeds of theft is also a thief. But we can no longer pretend and be saying, no, we don't know, we don't care. No, the society must care. Because this is at the foundation of the criminality that is ongoing. We celebrate wealth without work. And if the church continues to celebrate this, a society gets what it celebrates. And therefore, I'm only just throwing up something, Your Grace, that at your retreat. Because this thing, I feel so passionate about it. We're going out where we are going after all this Okite and Akwa Okoko and Ezenwanye and all of those. It's everywhere now. Just come, we'll give you this, you'll get money. We're not teaching people to work. How much do we do that? We launched asking people farm to feed. There was a time Nigeria was, they said they were having a hunger protest, that we're hungry. And we said, no, we can't. We must teach our people. We met with our youth and launched farm to feed. Akajaja, nebuto. That's what we are standing in this part of the world. So please, while we go onto this retreat, since we are going onto retreat, that's why I'm raising these issues, that there are deeper existential threats. Deeper existential threats to the society itself, because we have put our values on upside down. And the church, as the last man standing, must not be seen to flow in that direction. Otherwise, there is no redemption. Otherwise, there is no redemption for society. The church must be able to stand up. We say it in Igbo. Na ikwi nyolaro so munne akwewe egwu fasi atofia na de kweli for egwu. Let the church be that last man to say, sorry, evil is evil. Let's continue to repeat it. Let's continue to repeat it, because that's the only way we can rescue the future. And I want to leave you with this. I appreciate you very deeply. Always.